Good to see you again.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Another beautiful day, I think.
Raining. It's raining like cats and dogs.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
So glad everybody. Hey, I'm so glad everybody returned after last week. I verbally abused some people, but you came back anyway. It's awesome. How many of you are brand new that did not come last week?
I'm brand new.
Oh, Marion, where were you last week?
I'm Janet.
What?
I'm Janet.
Oh, Janet, there you are. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
Marion,
okay.
Marion raised her hand, and then I heard a voice. I thought Marion.
There you go.
Janet, where were you last week?
I can go back on my calendar and look. I don't remember.
Way to go. Way to go. Well, you missed a lot. We gave away 100 free leads to everybody. You missed out.
Oh, darn.
That's the way it goes, you know?
Yep, that's why I'm here today.
Well, good. We're not going to give you leads today since you're here.
Okay.
Okay, so last week we talked about, number one, getting at least 15 listings so that you can get a transaction coordinator. So let's start kind of brand new. Let's find out how many listings everybody has right now. Let's pick on Don Miller first.
I've got two. I got a long way to go.
Woohoo!
But I've got a former agent that was with my firm about 3 years ago is actually getting ready to start some Facebook advertising for me.
Okay, so you got two.
Yes, got two.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna write all this stuff down so I can remember this stuff. Yes, accountability. You didn't know there was gonna be accountability, did you?
Oh man, I don't do well with accountability.
Oh, you'll be fine. I'm not gonna call you and pick on you, you know, in private or anything. Marion Scott, how many listings do you have?
So I'm like the person in your the last session that you talked about who will do the phone calls, and then what I end up doing is I refer them out. I'm a widowed mother with 4 kids, and I am not stepping in. I'm not doing open houses. I'm not going to listing appointments. So I'm that person who does the phone calls that you talked about in your last session.
What state are you licensed in?
Yeah, Texas.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Marion, you're gonna be my new best friend.
Yeah.
Texas, so you're a licensed telemarketer.
Yes, I am.
Oh my God. Okay, I've got more work for you to do. Okay, let's pick on somebody else. Are you okay with me calling you, Marion? Can I call you?
Good. Sure.
Okay. Marvis Stewart. Marvis Stewart is gone to the bathroom. Deborah, I see your ceiling. That's a beautiful ceiling you have there. That is such a nice ceiling. I mean, I can see the, whoa.
Hey, we're getting dizzy over here.
Oh my God, I'm going to throw up. It's like a roller coaster. Deborah.
So,
yeah.
So I'm not really working as a realtor at this time. I just retired, and I'm actually having some fun. And I am building my team. I have over 300 agents.
How many listings do you have?
I don't have any listings right now.
Okay. Brett Balls
Rosenthal.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Hi, Brett.
Hey, I'm still recovering from, I think Deborah's sitting on her phone.
Oh, way to go. How many listings do you have, Brett?
Well, I sold 2 houses last week. I have not added any listings since last week yet.
Zero.
The
big goosies.
Yes.
Jalen, with all of my training that you've been to, you should have at least 30 listings right now.
All my listings sell within 6 hours to 24 hours, and I am listless.
Listless.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good thing. So we're going to put 0 for you.
Yes. I have to get to
let's-
work.
Okay, so let's see. Rebecca. Rebecca.
Hi.
What you got, Rebecca? How many listings you got?
I have 0 listings right now. I just got back into real estate after being off about 3 years, so I'm ready to go.
You see that? That's the big loser. Okay, we're going to help you with that stuff. Let's see. Janet. Let's pick on Janet. She's new.
I'm new. I'm new to EXP. I have one
Whoa,
list.
Janet, hold on.
Yep.
You cannot say what brokerage you're with
Oh, okay.
because we got people that are coming from other brokerages. I don't want
Okay.
anybody to think they're going to be recruited or called or anything like that.
Oh, okay. I changed brokerages.
Wonderful. So how
You
many
like that?
listings? How many listings did you bring over when you moved?
Oh, I left 5 behind and brought over 1.
Hmm.
You left 5?
Yes.
What the
It's a
hell?
long story, and I can't mention brokerages, so let's just leave it at that.
Oh my God. I hate when that happens.
The lucky thing is that I sold 5 at the back half of last year, so, and I'm closing on 2 buyer agents right now, so it'll
well,
come back.
The past means nothing. All
Yeah.
I care about is today.
Got it.
We don't get paid on the past.
No.
Okay, Roxanne.
Yeah, I can hear people, but I can't see anything. It says your meeting is launching, ...
Okay,
Can you
well,
Hey, we can see you.
we can see
You can
you've
see
got
me?
you've got
Yes, we
blonde,
can see you.
you've got this yellow blonde hair. You're wearing glasses. Yeah, we can see you.
And pink fuzzy slippers.
Right,
You can see my slippers?
Roxanne. How many listings do you have?
I have 1 right now.
Yay.
Well, 2 actually. 1 was supposed to close Monday, but that's a long story. We won't go into that.
So you have 1 pending, 1 active.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go with 1.
How do I see something?
We'll let you work on that while I move on.
Oh.
Rissa.
You got it right, Robert.
Oh my God, I can't believe I keep screwing that up. Rissa, how many
I-
listings do you have?
I have 7 listings, 2 new ones this past week.
Woohoo!
You're our
You'll
star
know,
so far.
Roxanne.
Rissa has 7. Tina Strange. You're so strange.
I have 0,
Oh
But-
my God, you're fired too.
but I'm working on the strategies you showed us. I'm working on two.
Wait till you hear what I got for you tomorrow. Ha ha. Okay, let's move on. Beth Ann. Beth, your picture does not match this name. Beth Ann Schultz. Okay, 0. Miguel Lopez, which is not Miguel, it's
It's flawed again.
Florida. Okay, how many listings do y'all have?
Oh, we have 0, working on getting 3, but the seller's taking their sweet time.
Stupid sellers. You know, if we didn't have to deal with people, life would be so much easier, wouldn't it?
Right?
Stupid people. Kelly Stevenson, I saw you try to sneak in on us.
Shh. What do I have?
How many listings?
0.
Goosies. Okay, have I gotten everybody? I think so. Don, did you leave? I think Don left. Don has left the building. Okay. So, there you are. Okay. So, the first issue that we got to talk about before you can get a transaction coordinator is you got to have more listings, period.
Yeah, must have.
So let's move on and ask some more technical stuff. Let's pick on Brett.
Okay.
Brett, how many phone calls are you making every day to try to get listings?
Not enough.
And that number is?
Right now,
Huh?
probably about 5.
5 a day.
Yeah. Yep. Right now. But I'm
Ooh, Lord.
gonna step it up, and I'm gonna make an effort to call 25 for sale by owner starting today.
All right, so I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to call your name. Give me a number. The number represents how many people do you call per day to get listings. Marion Scott. And I understand your situation, but
Anywhere from 200 to 300, depending on what day it is.
that's a good number. That's what I like to hear. Don Miller?
0.
Okay. Marvis? Marvis is still in the bathroom. Deborah?
I don't call anyone right now.
Hey, Deborah, your camera's still staring at the ceiling.
That's because I haven't gotten ready for the day yet.
Okay, let's keep moving. Jaylan?
Are you on your back?
Jaylan?
0. I need a transaction coordinator. I'm closing on the sales I made this last month.
So you make 0 calls per day to go for
Right.
listings.
Right.
That's wonderful. Rebecca?
0.
Janet?
0. I'm in a luxury market, and that is frowned upon.
Okay. Roxanne?
0 currently.
0 calls per day.
Hey, maybe you and I need to get some wagers going.
Brett?
Yes, sir.
Please. I'm trying to move through this. We've got very limited time. Rissa?
Roxanne and
Okay. Oh yeah, my computer froze. Tina, how many calls per day? We can't hear you.
Not enough. Sometimes 20, sometimes 0.
So on an average?
Probably average 20. About
20 per
20.
day. So
Yeah.
0 to 20, and your average is 20.
When I do call, yeah, I do at least I attempt to reach out to 20 people.
Okay. Beth Ann, how many calls per day? Okay, Beth is left. Flawn?
He does like 15, but we've just been calling this year. He's going to start calling expired, so that number will definitely go up.
Okay. And Kelly, how many calls per day?
I average about 10.
10 per day.
Yes.
So here's the bottom line. Most of you are not making any calls per day to go for listings, which tells me that you're either A, not working, B, you're driving around and being a professional visitor, which you don't get paid to visit people, or C, you're waiting on people to call you, or you're waiting for people to call you and you're just sitting by the phone, looking at it, waiting for it to ring.
Yeah.
Is that true? So if you want a transaction coordinator, you've got to have some business for the transaction coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have no business for the transaction coordinator, you have no closings.
Right.
And if you have no closings, then you have no income.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're a personal recruiter and you're recruiting so much that you're making money off of profit sharing or revenue sharing or whatever kind of other income you're doing. So the only person who's really making a true significant amount of numbers is Marion, 200 to 300 per day. Now, I'm sure Marion is using some kind of phone system like Mojo Dialer, Sales Dialer, something like that. You're not doing these individually, are you?
No.
What are you using?
So I started with Slide Dial. They have one, and then since I met you and my team, I'm on a team that has Mojo, and then since I met you, the Sales Dialer.
You went to Sales. How many lines are y'all using on Sales Dialers?
The 4.
Oh, good. Okay, that's what I use. Now, here's something to keep in mind. The way this phone system works is you can load in up to 10,000 names per campaign. So you can load in 10,000 names and telephone numbers. And then once you've loaded that number in, then you can load another 10,000 in. Then you can merge those two campaigns together. So now you got 20,000 people. The reason that you're not making calls is very simple. And I tell this to the for sale by owner people, for sale by owner class and the expired class. The reason that you're not making calls is that A, you don't have enough people to call, or B, the limited number of people that you do have to call, you're afraid that the conversation is going to go bad.
Your call
And
cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again.
uh-oh, I'm fixing to be disconnected.
404, location 1.
Whoever that is, please mute your phone.
I think you have an option to mute everybody.
Yeah, I don't want to do that because this is participation. All right, so the second reason that you don't make calls is that you have limited number of people to call, so you don't want to get started, because if you get started and you blow through that list, you're unemployed. So the key to this
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. So I have no idea who that is because it's still showing me as the only one talking. So, Marion, let's talk about your
Enter your
result.
participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press.
I found him. It was Marvis. Okay, so Marion, I'm going to pick on you because you've got a significant number of calls that you're making. What kind of results are you getting from calling 200 to 300 per day?
Yeah, you kind of have to go through a lot of numbers, and sometimes I have access to the Coles directory, and so I'll pull numbers in from there. So sometimes with that, it's like a long shot. You got to do a lot of numbers, and then you'll get someone to call back. But yeah, in actual talking to people, yeah, I mean you get people. My goal is to get 10 that I can at least put in a drip campaign, right? Get their email on them.
Okay. All right. So would you say that calling that many number of people is effective for you?
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't unless I'm out going around where I'm actually getting actual good conversations with people. How else are you going to get? I don't know. I don't have any other way to get 10 people.
So let me give you a scenario. Let's say, for example, that Sales Dollars goes out of business. All the dialing systems out there go out of business, and you now have to go back to your cell phone. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a little more work.
The
dialer helps.
Oh my God, it's huge.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how important this dialing system is for me. If I was ever in a situation that I had to either pay $110 for groceries because I have no food, or I've got to pay $110 for my Sales Dollars account for the month, food is going to go to the wayside. That's how important Sales Dollars is to me. It's probably more important than any lead generation website, any website that you can have. It's huge, especially if you're going to build a team. You've got to build a team, and the only way to build a team is you've got to call people to get listings. Then you can get a transaction coordinator. So now that I've beat that up, and we talked about the transaction coordinator, the next thing to do after you get a transaction coordinator is you get a buyer's agent. Now, why would you get a buyer's agent instead of you working the listings yourself as the buyer's agent? Well, I believe in taking off on weekends. I believe in taking off at 5 o'clock. I like to have a 9 to 5 job, and that's what I do. I turn the phones off 5 o'clock. Voicemail happens at 5:01. So if you have a buyer's agent, then what happens is that the buyer's agent, you do a split with that buyer's agent so that you don't have to take care of all the buyer calls that come through. Typically, if you're going to put somebody on a team, a true team environment, you're going to put them on either a 50-50 split, a 60-40 split, or a 70-30 split. You want to make at least 30% because it's your efforts and your marketing that gets the buyer the leads from your listings. Now, a lot of people say, well, I want to work at both. I want to work both the listings and the buyers. Well, then you don't want a team, because what happens is that you become a full-time 24-hour realtor. You have no life. You have no vacation time. If you get sick, you're totally screwed, because now you're answering the phone coughing while you're talking to people. You've got to get a buyer's agent. That's all there is to it. If you're going to build a team, you have to have a buyer's agent to run those listings for you. So what is the perfect personality for a buyer's agent? Let's pick on Lynn. Lynn, what do you think the perfect personality would be for a buyer's agent?
Somebody that's hungry
Yes, big time.
and likes detail, and working with different personalities that can communicate well and ask good questions of the buyers.
Do you think a personality type like me would be a good buyer's agent? Would you hire me? Would you hire me as a buyer's agent? Be honest.
Would you talk them to death?
Would I what?
Would you talk them to death, or would you ask questions?
I would ask a lot of questions.
Okay, you'd be a good buyer's agent.
I would suck as a buyer's agent. Because I would be so tired of showing houses after about 4. I'd say, look, make up your mind. Let's do something.
Exactly. That's why I'm a listing agent, and I really do have 2 listings, but they're pending. But I'm mentor agents, and I'm training them to be buyer's agents for my team after they graduate from the mentoring program.
Good. I had a buyer's agent, and his personality, he was a great guy, great personality. Everybody loved him. I mean, everybody. I don't know of anybody that didn't like this guy. The problem was that the buyers were scared of him negotiating the contracts. And they would call me and they'd say, you know, we really like Pat, but can you work the deal for us instead of him? Because we don't think he's a good negotiator like you are. And so after about 4 of those calls, I had to have a sit down with Pat, and I said, look, this is what I'm hearing from people. What do you think we should do about this? It was just beyond his personality to have a strong personality to go against some of these realtors that will just eat your lunch if you don't know that contract. You've got to know that contract if you're going to be a good buyer's agent. If you don't know that contract back and forth and somebody quizzes you, you better learn that contract. And if you have a team, you better know that contract too, because if the buyer's agent calls you, you've got to know exactly what to say with that offer that comes in. In the state of Texas, where I'm licensed, now this is what I heard. I'm not sure how exact these numbers are, but for a seller, there's only 4 possible ways for a seller to get out of a contract. For a buyer, there's like 20 ways for a buyer to get out of a contract. Yes, ma'am. Am I quoting right numbers, ma'am?
You heard it. Yeah, you heard it from me. There's over 32 ways for a buyer to get out of the a buyer to get out of the contract, and also addendum that goes along with it, but only about 4 for the seller. It's a buyer's contract.
Oh, big time. I mean, the seller is pretty much locked into it. So we're going to go back to personality types. Brett, do you think you would be a good buyer's agent?
Yes, actually, because that's what I've been doing for the past 17 years of my career, was heavy as a buyer's agent.
Which would you rather do? Which would you rather do, work buyers or listings?
For sure, listings.
Why?
Absolutely.
But why?
Because I think it's the only true legitimate reason way to truly ultimately build the team that I've always envisioned and run it like a true business, and to eventually get to the point where I can, I don't want to say operate on autopilot, but get closer to doing something like that. I also believe strongly, I was always told, going into the career, that if you list, you last. If you don't, you won't.
I believe that 100%.
So,
You know, it goes back to what this broker told me when I was with Remax. He said, Robert, if you want to see significant amount of money, you've got to have at least 15 listings. And of course, you know, I like to argue with everybody. And I said, well, what if I have $13 million listings? He said, the number is 15. I said, so if I had $1,500,000 listings as opposed to $13 million listings, the 15 is a better deal? And he said, yes, because you're going to do less work on the 100,000. You're going to get a buyer faster than you will on $13 million properties. I said, okay, well, that makes sense. So let's pick on Kelly. Kelly, I always like to pick on you every session. So, you know, today is no different from any other day. Kelly, do you see yourself as a buyer's agent or a listing agent?
Well, every house I've listed, I've sold myself. So I love listing. I love listings, but I don't like people, so I don't like to be a buyer's agent. So
isn't that funny that we're in real estate and we don't like people?
But I don't know.
Don Miller.
Okay, I'm back online here. I have almost always exclusively been doing the listing side. Very, very limited experience on the buyer side. I do have one buyer now, and the other buyers have traditionally been investors, which basically generally know what they're looking for. So I don't know the real answer to the question. Don't
For
have a lot
you,
on the buyer side.
which would you rather be, a listing agent or a buyer's agent?
I think I would prefer to be a listing agent without a lot of experience on the buyer side. So I would say probably listing agent.
Okay, the second problem that you got to understand, if you have a buyer's agent, is you've got to have enough business to keep that buyer's agent busy.
Absolutely.
Because now remember, this is probably somebody who's not good at marketing. They're not good at getting leads themselves. And the reason that they're a buyer's agent is because they just don't have the personality to be a listing agent. So it's really up to you to make sure that you've got plenty of listings for your buyer's agents, period. And then as the buyer's agent, if you work this right, you got to keep in mind that the buyer's agent is all they're going to do is show houses, get a contract, and then once they get that contract executed, they're going to hand it over to the transaction coordinator. Transaction coordinator takes it over from there. They shouldn't even have to touch that contract until they go to closing, until closing day when they show up, if they show up for the closing. That's really a good buyer's agent system, is to have a transaction coordinator that does all the paperwork. Then the buyer's agent, all they do is just show houses. So let's talk about, where was I going? I forgot where I was going with that on the buyer's agent side. How many buyer's agents do you think would be a good number for 15 listings? Let's pick on Rissa.
If I had 15 listings, I would want at least 3 buyer's agents.
Do you think that you could support all those 3 buyer's agents with 15?
With the leads that I do have that I'm not working because of my job, yes, they would be very busy. I'm working on one buyer agent right now to join, so she's going to be quite busy.
Okay, so right now you have 7 listings.
Correct.
How many buyer's agents do you have right now?
0. I have not been working it since I became the broker.
Okay, so since you are aware that you need a buyer's agent with 7 listings, you've got a transaction coordinator, right?
I do not.
What?
I know. I used to have one, and then I accepted the broker position, and I just stopped selling real estate until I got that under my belt and have my agents trained now.
You more than anyone needs a transaction coordinator.
I know.
Oh my God. So if an offer comes in, let's say that something crazy happens and you get 3 offers in one weekend. And you're the broker, so you're taking care of other agents' calls. How in the world are you going to manage all that paperwork?
I do not sleep.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's real healthy for you.
I know.
Rissa,
It's
it's
crazy.
time to go get a transaction coordinator.
Yeah,
What the hell?
I know. I got your number from last week. And I was going to check into that. Like I said, I just haven't had time.
Rissa, your homework.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and pick on you today.
That works.
You've got to have a transaction coordinator in place like yesterday.
Yeah.
You need to set aside 30 minutes and find a transaction coordinator.
Yeah. Right now I have 2 pendings that have been held to get to accepted because of it.
Okay, so how do you work, who pays the transaction coordinator fee? Because this also goes in line with the buyer's agent. For me, our transaction coordinator fee is $325. If the transaction coordinator does repairs and amendments, then it's $400. So if it's if it's a piece of land, then she only charges $325. So who pays that $325 fee?
Normally in my listings, I would write that in the listing as an additional admin fee. And then for buyer agents, I haven't done it because I'm really not working with buyers. I would have that in their buyer agency agreement and ask the seller of the property they're buying to pay it.
Roxanne, if you had a transaction coordinator and the transaction coordinator fee was $325, who should pay that? You or the buyer or the seller?
I was always under the impression that's a cost of the team leader. But I like Rissa's idea with a listing, you can add it as an admin fee. And then it still can be the cost of the team leader. So it's added into the commission for closing. If the seller's paying, 6% plus $325 admin fee, then
Okay.
if the admin fee for that transaction coordinator is coming out of the team leader's side.
Okay, so here's what I typically do. On a listing, I charge a $400 transaction fee.
To the seller?
To the seller on a listing. If we don't have to do any kind of repairs, like let's say that the buyer's agent doesn't request any repairs, the transaction fee is still $400.
If the buyer doesn't ask for repairs?
Okay, hold on. Let's back up. I'm gonna mute you. Let me just explain this, and then I'll let everybody come back and ask me questions.
Okay.
So on a listing agreement, I'm gonna put a $400 transaction fee to the seller. The seller in the listing agreement will ask me, remember, because I'm doing everything email. I don't see the seller in person. He's gonna ask me, what is this transaction fee about? And here's what I tell him. I have a licensed realtor who does nothing but paperwork. She hates showing houses. She hates listings. She is a fanatic about paperwork. And so she is my transaction coordinator. Her job is to make sure that all the paperwork gets done so that nothing falls through the cracks. Well, he goes, well, why can't you just pay that out of your commission? Well, here's what we're going to do. When the offer comes in, we're going to negotiate for that $400 to be thrown back in through the offer so that the buyer ends up paying it through the offer and counter offers. They go, oh, okay, I'm good with that. So if you have a buyer's agent, then what I tell the buyer's agent in an agreement that we sign is that the buyer's agent is responsible for getting the transaction fee from the buyer. You're going to put that in the buyer's rep agreement. There's a $400 transaction fee. Buyer's agent, if you don't put that in there, then guess who gets to pay it? You do. I'm not paying it. So if they forget, they're going to get their split minus $400, because remember, as a buyer's agent with a transaction coordinator, they don't have to do any paperwork. So then the buyer's agent will say, well, how do I sell that? And I tell them exactly what to say. You tell the buyer that this fee is charged at closing, but we're going to work that $400 back into the offer and counter offer so that the seller ends up paying it. You can work it both ways. And then they put it in. I don't think I've ever had anybody say, well, I'm not doing the transaction fee. I think I had a for sale by owner do that one time. And I said, well, no transaction fee, no listing. I can't help you. I mean, he was that adamant. And so was I, because I'm stubborn and I'm a hardhead, and I walked away from it. I said, okay, here's what we could do. I said, let's raise the commission to cover the transaction fee. Instead of doing 6%, let's do 6.25%. He didn't like that idea either. So I walked away, because here's why I walked away. That is an indicator to me. If he doesn't want to pay $400, we're going to have major problems down the line when an offer comes in, and I'm going to be spending all of my hair is going to be gone, other than just the thin that's going away right now. So sometimes you have to walk away from listings, period. So that's how I do the transaction fee for the buyer's agent. Now, understand, a buyer's agent can be the best thing that you do for your business, because now, instead of you having to work weekends, your buyer's agent takes care of all the buyer calls, and you're off on weekends. That was one of the things that I put in the questionnaire. Would you like to be off weekends? And most of you said, I wish. That was really the most common answer for that question. Well, here's how you do it. There's no reason, just because you have a real estate license, that you have to work weekends. If you structure this like a business, and anybody that's seen me on social media, on Facebook, with my videos, I'm going to say it one more time for today, because it comes out every time I make a video. If you treat your business like a business and not a hobby, you will make business income. If you treat it like a hobby, guess what? You're going to make hobby income. It's really that simple. And what kills me is I post the question, every day I post a realtor question of the day. They're usually dumb questions, and I post them to see how everybody thinks as realtors. How many of you, if you got a call, I'm going to pick on Brett. Brett, I like to pick on you. Today's Pick on Brett Day.
Hey, I'm ready for it.
Kelly, I'm letting you off today. Brett, you have a listing, and a buyer calls you because you don't have a buyer's agent. Way to go. You have a call, and the person says, hey, I see your listing. How much are you asking for it? Let's just do a little role play.
Sure.
Let's do role play. I'm the buyer. I'm the buyer. You have a listing for $400,000.
Okay.
The listing is 45 minutes away from you. Okay?
Yep.
Hey, Brad, I was calling about this house that you have. Can you tell me how much you're asking for it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which house are you calling in on? I have several available in the area, first of all.
It's the one at 202 Main Street, I think. I'm sitting right out in front of it right now.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'm pulling up that information right now. In the meantime, have you certain any other properties in the area that you've been looking at the same time?
I just really want to know how much this one is. Can you tell me how much you're asking for it?
Sure. Got that one listed at $400,000.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to be here in the neighborhood. Can you come by and show it to me?
Well, actually, right now I'm wrapping up a couple of appointments, but I do have available today at 3:45 and tomorrow at 5:45. Would either one of those times work for you?
No, I'm going to be going out of town in about an hour.
You're going to be going out of town about
the only time I've got is, yeah, that's what I just said. The only time I've got is now until about probably noon.
Okay. All right. If I could get that arranged for you as quickly as possible, let me ask you a question. My seller is very particular on making sure that at his price point, our buyers are all qualified. Have you already spoken with a lender?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you got a pre-approval letter on file?
Uh-huh.
All right. Fantastic. And this is the only other house that's really drawn your attention so far?
This is awesome looking. I love it. My
Perfect.
wife is sitting right here. She loves it. She's hit me on the arm because I won't go out and go walk around it right now.
All right.
40 degrees is too cold for me to go look at houses unless we're seeing the inside of it.
All right. I will either myself or I'll have one of my partners be there in about 45 minutes.
Awesome. Okay, thanks a lot. Brett. Brett. What did you do wrong with that situation?
Messes up my whole day to go for an appointment.
All right, so you sit back for just a minute. Jaylyn, tell me what Brett failed to do on this conversation.
Failed to capture an email address.
Wow, that's good stuff. What else did he fail to do?
Well, he's got the phone number, but he doesn't have a name.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks.
Big charge.
So no name, no email address. All he's got is a phone number. And the buyer said that he had a pre-approval letter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the pre-approval letter that he said that he has?
It depends on where he got it from. Who the lender is.
Rocket Mortgage.
You know, Jaylyn, how do we know buyer is telling the truth?
Right.
Have we seen the pre-approval letter?
No.
Do we know how much the pre-approval letter is up to?
No.
Is he qualified up to $400,000? Do we know that?
Nope.
No. Do we have a buyer's rep on this buyer?
No.
Whoo, Lord. Anything else?
So would it be okay to ask for them to email the pre-approval letter before he meets with him?
Well, here's what I do. I am not getting my car and go and show a buyer unless I've got a pre-approval letter that I can see and a buyer's rep agreement. Because Brett, in that situation, you're running your business as a hobby, not as a business person.
Okay.
Did you ask me if I'm working with any other realtors?
No, that's a good question. I did not.
I've got a buyer's rep agreement with another realtor.
Yep.
Now, we could argue procuring calls.
Yep.
That probably ain't going to stand up.
Right.
How many of you in that situation would drop everything and go show that buyer on a $400,000 listing? Don't be afraid. Be honest.
I probably would.
Okay. Kelly, would you?
Commission breath.
Would you?
Commission breath.
So is that yes? Janet?
I mean, I would ask those questions first, but yeah, probably.
You go, Sean?
Once I had the information.
Don?
Without the information, absolutely not. I've been down that road before.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I'm doing this role playing, because if you don't teach your buyer's agents how to handle these situations, you're going to have a very frustrated buyer's agents in about 2 months, and they're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So not only am I going to teach you how to build a team, I'm going to teach you how to keep a team. I remember when I first started, this is 19 years ago, and I had a lead that came through the website. It was the company with the red shirts. And this guy wanted to go look at houses in the $1 million price range. And I'm thinking, oh my God, $1 million, 3%, that's 30,000. This is awesome. So he wants to go see some houses. So I lined up 10 houses for him to go see, and we're off. We're going to look. So at the end of that time, he doesn't see anything that he likes. He says, okay, I'm going out of town. I'll be back in town. Can we look at 10 more? because I know that I'm going to find something I like. So, of course, we looked at 10 more. Now, I've got little kids at this time. So this is 19 years ago. I've got a 1-year-old. Yeah, I've got a 1-year-old. No houses, second week. Third week, he says, can we look at some more? I think we're getting close. I want to go look at one of the others. He gave me the address. He said, sorry, I got a contract on it. He said, okay, let's look at others. 3 weeks, 3 weekends, 10 more houses. Nothing. 4 weekends. We looked at houses. He found a house that he liked. He said, I want to make an offer on this house. So I said, perfect. We went back to the office. We filled out paperwork. This is before DocuSign. We filled out paperwork. I sent it to the listing agent. Listing agent says, no, this probably looks really good. The only thing that I don't have is a pre-approval letter. I said, oh, perfect. Now this guy's a doctor. So I said, hey, Dr. Joe, I need to get a pre-approval letter from you so that we can send it to the listing agent. Doctor says, oh, I don't have one. I said, okay, no big deal. I've got a lender. I'm going to give you his name and number. You call him. I call the lender and I say, hey, I got a doctor who needs a pre-approval letter. We've got $1 million $1 million offer. 10 minutes after I gave him the number, I get a phone call from the lender. He said, Robert, yes. Where did you find this guy? I said, dude, I've been working with him for a month. He's a doctor. What's the problem? He said, he can't buy a house. He can't even qualify to buy a car. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And I was trained to get a pre-approval letter, and I didn't do it. I didn't get a buyer's rep agreement on him either. 4 weekends, I wasted at least 3 hours per day. So 3 hours, I wasted 12 hours on a guy that can't even qualify to get a car. So if you're not teaching your buyer's agents to get a pre-approval letter and a buyer's rep agreement, you and the whole team is wasting time. You're treating it like a hobby. If you don't teach your people that they have to get a pre-approval letter and a buyer's rep agreement before they go look at houses, then you're going to have a very dissatisfied buyer's agent, and he will probably leave to go to another team where they're going to teach him how to do that. Any questions on that?
I agree.
Crazy.
May
Roxanne?
I add to that?
Yes.
I have a document that I'd be happy to share with anyone. I call it my buyer lead sheet. And it is basically a questionnaire that leads me to the next qualifying questions whenever I meet a new buyer.
Yes, we'd love to see it if you want to send it.
How do I send it in like this message thing in a way?
Send it to me, and then when I do the video, and you're not going to get this video till tomorrow because I've got to leave after today, after lunch.
Okay.
If you'll email it to me, and then I will forward that in the video that I send everybody tomorrow.
Okay.
You rock.
Happy to share. I also have a seller one too and a FSBO seller one, so I'll send you the 3 that I use.
Bring everything. I'm going to start charging people for this information that you're giving to me. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roxanne.
I'm just kidding. Yay. Okay. So we talked about transaction. Wait a minute. We talked about listings. Got to have listings. Next is your transaction coordinator. Next is your buyer's agent. Does anybody have any questions about those 3? Anybody?
I sort of have a question.
Go.
So I have a problem with, I'm very enthusiastic about control. And I have a really great admin ready to go. my trouble is giving up things. How do you identify things that it's not a licensed person, so it's definitely just an admin role, not a transaction coordinator role? Any tips on like how do you actually give up
What do you
things
mean?
that you
Define give up.
well, the little things that don't bring in business, you know, the little work, the see, I have a hard time even pinpointing it.
We're all waiting.
Entering in a new buyer when you have a new buyer into putting in the collab center, something simple like that.
And you
My
feel like you should
mindset,
do that instead of them?
yeah, my mindset is always, oh, I can just get it done. It'll take me 5-6 minutes. I'll just do it. It'll take me longer to explain to them how to do it. You know, I can't think of something else right now. Something simple like ordering marketing supplies like pens or something, you know, stuff like that, that is not a income producing activity for me that I can hand off to somebody else.
Okay. All right. So here's a different situation I want you to think about. Let's just say that you're not a realtor. Let's say that you own a restaurant. And the restaurant that I've got in my mind, because I watched Creed 2 last night, is a restaurant like what Rocky has. You see Rocky?
It's been a long time.
Oh my God. Okay, so Rocky is now retired, you know, and he owns this Italian restaurant. So pretend that you own an Italian restaurant. And as the restaurant owner, because of your personality that you like to be in control, you greet people when they walk in. You sit people at the table. You go get their water, their drink. You come back and you get their order. Then you go to the kitchen and you make their food. Then you bring the food to the table and another person walks in the door and you go grab those people, sit them at the table, get their drink order, go get their drink, bring it back, get their order, go cook it, bring the food, collect the money from the first table, and cash them out. Now, this goes on all night long because you don't have a staff. You're doing it all. How crazy is that situation?
Very crazy.
Why is it crazy?
Because not one person can do all of those things.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know,
Really?
it's so hard. It's I don't know
not
why it's
hard.
gotta be. It's not.
Look, just because you give them stuff to do, that doesn't mean that you're not going to manage them. You oversee them and make sure that they're doing the job. It's called accountability. Remember, you're running this like a business. This is not a hobby. It's real simple. Just delegate. Have you ever been a manager for anything in your life?
No, I guess not exactly, other than being a mom. I'm good at delegating chores at home.
Oh, whoa. Okay, let's back up. So when you tell your kids to do chores, give me an example of a chore that you tell them to do.
Well, there's 3 toilets in the house, so they have to take turns, the oldest ones, washing toilets, dishwasher.
Well, okay, but let's talk about toilets.
Okay.
Do you go check on them when they're done to make sure they did it like they're supposed to do it?
Yeah.
You don't get out there and just do it yourself. Just get out of the way. I'll just do this myself.
No.
Why not?
Because I'm teaching them responsibility.
Hello. It's the same system.
Okay.
What you're teaching your kids is the same thing that you're teaching your admin people.
Okay.
You've got to delegate and walk away. Go back and check on them every now and then. And if they don't do it, just tell them, look, this is how you're doing it. Here's the way I want you to do it. They work for you. You're paying them. This is not a volunteer organization. Unless you're running a nonprofit. Because what it sounds like you're doing is you want to run it like a nonprofit and you want to do everything.
No.
Is this a
Definitely
business
not.
is this a business or a hobby?
Oh, this is a business.
Awesome. Run it like a business.
Yep.
Simple, simple solution for that one. You have the same kind of personality that I have, but I guarantee you in the beginning, I'm going to micromanage until they've proven that they can do this better than me. When they can do this better than me,
Yeah.
I'm backing off. Just, they'll tell me, get out of my way. Okay, so going back to the scenario. We got about 4 minutes. My God, do I talk that much? Okay, Lynn, Lynn, do not smile at me because I know you're thinking, yes, you do.
Actually, I was thinking I have the same issue that Roxanne has because I've done it myself for 30 years and it's like delegating is difficult.
So Roxanne, let me
I
ask you.
was the same way, but I found a way that I could do it easy because I ran a whole team of TCs.
Oh.
So what worked for me is one, having really good systems to make sure that everything, that they were following directions and doing things the way that I would do them. So I had to do work on my end and develop those systems. Also, if it was simple tasks, like you're saying, adding a buyer to your CRM, record yourself doing it one time so you give exact directions, and then you don't have to train everybody all the time. They can just refer back to that video.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I do that for everything. We do that now for our team. Anything that's processes related, we have a drive. And if they have a question, my time is not tied up teaching everybody everything over and over. I just ask them to watch that video.
And in addition to that, I really like that idea, especially because I'm thinking as you hire more team members, instead of having to train everybody, just make them watch videos. This is how you do this. Watch this video.
Right. I only train one time when I record it, and that's it.
Exactly. I love that idea. That's awesome.
So what video system do you use to do that?
I actually use Zoom, and I share my screen on my computer. I just log in by myself. And for example, if I had a transaction that I was uploading to SkySlope or something or whatever one of our processes was, I would record myself doing it and just kind of talking as if I was training that person. And then that's how I created my training material.
When I send out my for sale by owner and expired videos, what I do is I download the videos from Zoom to YouTube, and then I make those videos unlisted so that your average Joe can't find them. And then what I'll do is I take the URL, which is, on YouTube in the unlisted category, and I just post the URLs to everybody who came to that training session. That way you've always got it.
Yeah, I was wondering how you did that on the fee-based classes you do. Thanks for sharing.
And then if you wear a hat like me, if you have a bad hair day, it didn't really matter because you get to have a bad hair day. Okay, so next week, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how many listings you have next week. So don't wean out on me and not show up, Kelly Stevenson. Don Miller, you're also going to be a victim next week. Don Miller has 2 listings and making 0 calls. I have a question for you. What the hell?
I'm slacking, man. I'm slacking.
I know, slacker. We're gonna put the big old S on your face like Laverne and Shirley. Okay. So next week we're gonna talk about do what? Excuse me?
Or Superman, not slacker.
Okay. So next week we're gonna talk about how many listings you all have, because all of you people that have the big goosies, you got to get 1 listing by next week. You can do it. You got to have 15 if you want to do a team. You can't talk about it. You got to make action. Then we're also going to talk about the transaction coordinator again. And we're going to talk about buyer's agent. But the main topic of next week is how to hire another listing agent in addition to you. So now what the team will look like is you have yourself as a listing agent, a transaction coordinator, a buyer's agent, and a new listing agent. And I'm going to show you how to do that.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Nope.
I'm going to anyway. Does
Okay,
your
go ahead.
transaction coordinator need to be licensed?
I would prefer licensed because I don't want to do paperwork and I don't want to do repairs. I don't want to handle the negotiation of repairs. If she comes into a hard ass listing agent or a buyer's agent or whatever, and she needs to get me involved, and she'll call me and say, "Hey, this guy's a real butthead. Can you step in and help me on these repairs?" Then I'll step in and I'll do what I need to do. But she pretty much can handle this stuff just as good as I can do. And for Roxanne, you gotta let some of that control for your transaction coordinator. Yes, they're gonna screw up. Who cares? They're gonna screw up. They'll learn from it. Everybody makes mistakes. It's no big deal. You know, it's only a few $1,000 that they're gonna lose for you.
Few thousand. So a really quick question on the transaction coordinator part. Do you have somebody hired that only works for your team, or is this like a contract person where they might work for you, they work for another agent, and
Yes,
so on?
they work for multiple agents.
Okay.
In fact, what we've got is we've got a transaction coordinator for my realtor in Washington, so she has her own transaction coordinator. We have 4 realtors in Florida. They all share the same transaction coordinator for Florida. And then me in Texas, I've got a transaction coordinator for Texas. So what we've done on my website is we have everybody who represents any kind of beach properties, beach or coastal properties, they bring their MLS to the website. So if somebody wants to do a search for beach properties, it's going to pull up all the MLSs combined all over the United States. And then once we get a realtor in a different state, like right now, I'm looking for a realtor in California so that we can pull the California MLS into the deal. We'll get a transaction coordinator for the realtor in California. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How does one go about to find a transaction coordinator like that?
Facebook.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You make a post that you're looking for a transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
And sit back and go check your deals by 5 o'clock, and you're going to have at least 30 replies.
Roxanne, did you see the last week's training?
I didn't get to watch the whole thing.
Okay, because there was actually some great stuff on there, and
maybe we can get together, Brett.
Flo, or what was her name? Flobez or
Flo?
Yeah.
Flo. Yeah, she shared some great information on there. So.
I'm not fired, Brett.
What's that?
Brett, I'm not fired.
No. But I'm just saying, with the incredible episode you had there last week for Roxanne, I thought it would be great for her to go back and check that out.
I'll go back and check that out.
There was definitely a lot of meat and potatoes in that one.
Roxanne, were you a fan of the police? The group of the police?
That's not allowed.
Okay, well, I want to tell you this one story before we go, and this has nothing to do with real estate. When I went to LSU, I used to set up stages. That was my job. I used to go help set up stages. And one of the groups that came was the police. So we got to meet Sting and all those guys. And so when they came out, they had all this smoke, dry ice smoke. And so Sting is behind the smoke, and I'm backstage because I can see everything that's going on backstage. And he goes, "Roxanne," and the smoke parts like the Red Sea. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So when I see your name, that's all I think about is Sting with the smoke parting like the Red Sea at that concert. Now, I'm sure that information is going to help you on real estate today. Go use it, share that story with other people, and go make millions of dollars. Okay. All right.
You can do it, Roxanne.
Roxanne.
Well, I was born in the same year that they came out with that song, so.
That was an awesome
song. Goodness.
Turn on the red light.
The problem is with
Brad,
that
let's
song,
sing it together. You ready?
about a good person.
What? Do
The
what?
problem with that song is it's about a hooker.
Yep.
So?
No, it's about a red porch light.
Yeah, okay, Rissa.
I wonder how many
Coming to your house and
became,
putting a red porch light in.
I wonder how many hookers became realtors. What do you think? What do you think about that?
0.
Okay, y'all. Well, that's it for me. We will talk to you next
All right.
Wednesday. Y'all have a great
Robert.
day.
Thanks, Robert.
Robert.
Okay, talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye
Wait,
bye now.
Robert.
Bye,
See y'all next week.